Gordon Ramsay, congratulations on receiving your very first Emmy nomination for MasterChef Junior. I just want to ask, what was it like getting the news you'd been nominated? What was your reaction?
Well, first of all, thank you. It was exciting. I was having breakfast with the kids last week, and they always put me on breakfast duty. So I was making these scrambled eggs, and there's a pivotal moment where the crème fraîche needs to go in. And for the first time, I completely screwed the scrambled eggs because I was trying to watch the news and understand that that was me shortlisted. So I can accept messing up my scrambled eggs based on the great news being shortlisted for an Emmy.
I think it's kind of inspiring to all of us who love to cook to hear that even the great Gordon Ramsay can mess up a dish every so often.
It was for a good reason. And my children let me know how watery and runny my eggs were. But it was worthwhile, especially if I get that Emmy.
Well, congratulations again. I hope that your future dishes and your Emmy prospects are very good. You host a lot of these reality competition cooking shows. I wonder, what do you think the appeal of these programs are?
Personally, for me, MasterChef Junior is hitting all the right notes because of the, I suppose, the lack of importance to do with cooking. For me, it's as important as a history or geography lesson, and it's something that every youngster needs to know on leaving school. Not just the nutritional value, but in order to live well, one needs to eat well, and that's not with expensive ingredients. So what's happened over the last 5 years that MasterChef Junior has started creating these incredible little thoroughbreds that are sort of almost re-educating their parents on how they want to eat and how they should eat. So I get so upset when I see kids blamed for their bad eating habits and their weight spiraling out of control. That's not the kids' fault, that's the parents. So it's the parents that should be blamed, not the kids. So my journey for this program is to convince not just every parent, but every school how important food's educational. And it's something that we do 3 times a day, eat 7 days a week. And so first thing I say to the kids when they walk in, there's no mum and dad, there's no school teacher, and I'm going to be your best friend. You're going to love me, you're going to hate me, you're going to be going through a mini life experience. And don't give me the problem, give me the solution. And that's the most important thing about that program. When we hit a stumbling block, what is the solution? Because that's life.
Mm-hmm. So I wonder, when you're searching for these kids to appear on MasterChef Junior, what do you look for in contestants? What is the potential that you look for in them?
That journey they go on is incredible because they get taught so much. All I look for in every young individual is the word determination. And let's not, fancify it and make this thing look over glossy. Let's keep it real. So I want determination, manners, and then just I want to see attitude, because that's what creates personality, when you can draw that attitude out of those individuals and put them into that arena, and then focus on their weaknesses and improve their strengths.
And oftentimes the children are better cooks than the adult contestants that you have on your other shows. I wonder, is it difficult making those decisions of who to eliminate and who to choose?
It's a competition, and there's a huge prize at the end of it. I have more of a nightmare with the parents than I do with the kids. Where they all want to get involved, and it's like that soccer moment when the soccer coach is getting told off by the parents, my son's better than her and she's not as good as him, and all that crap. So I'm brutally honest with the parents, and for me it wasn't about just the winners. It's about them finding more about themselves out across that competition. And then looking at that naked ambition where they can go on that canvas and use ingredients that they've never touched before, equipment they've never seen before, and then understanding that the connect with food can bring out so much more confidence in a youngster than it can sit in an English or maths exam and feeling slightly insecure and somewhat inadequate because you didn't hit the top third of your class. Food is personal, and it's that level of creativity that makes those individuals what they are. And it's not about inspiring with A stars at 15 years of age and becoming top in your maths. Food can give you as much confidence on that plate as it can in an exam, if not better than in an exam.
I wanted to talk a bit about the episode you submitted for Emmy consideration, the Muppets Take MasterChef. Why did you choose that episode for Emmy consideration?
And when I first started a program in the UK called The F Word, whilst parents at school were buying their kids iPads and iPhones and Xboxes, I bought my kids pigs. I give them a pig each. And you need to understand, if you're going to eat a full English breakfast and you want the best bacon, then you need to know where that comes from. Secondly, I think it's incredibly rude for young kids to waste food. There's nothing more insulting than waste. And kids eat with their eyes. And so it brought me back to the highlight of my kids' year when I gave them pigs. And then when I thought about Miss Piggy standing in that kitchen thinking, you know, do you have any idea how delicious you are? Pigs are good. Pigs are delicious, and pigs are there to be respected. I grew up with the Muppets, and I was so excited when they could make the time to come and have a bit of fun, but get serious with food as well at the same time. And that just lightened the load. And so that program for me was one of the most prolific because it sort of woke the kids up to having a bit of character across their food, but more importantly, a little bit of fun. And that then gets serious because the final product was incredible. And that's what you need to do with kids. You know, you need to sort of be firm, be fair, have fun with them, and the results are tenfold.
Did it present any new challenges in filming, having the Muppets on there at all?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge it presented for me was keeping Miss Piggy's hair out of the food. It was long, glossy, blonde, and beautiful. She couldn't get my name right as well. And so it was just an amazing moment for the kids to understand that, you know, food is, you know, it's personal. It's a journey of absolute, utter selfishness when you've got these raw ingredients and for 60 minutes you're going to arrive at something personal, and it's you on a plate. And having Miss Piggy there in that kitchen took the seriousness away from the competition, let them relax so much more, and almost they forgot the word competition and they just cooked their hearts out.
I wanted to ask about your own personal journey with food. What is it that got you to take cooking seriously as an occupation?
Yeah, I was involved with sports, and my dream, you know, as a 15, 16-year-old was to become a soccer player. Now that got taken away from me from an early age when I smashed my cartilage and tore my cruciate ligament. In those days, there was 10, 15 kids behind me ready to take my spot. So once you get that level of injury and upset, the one thing I never did was get bitter. And so I've never wanted to sit there and think, well, that's it, my life's done. How do we turn that negativity into something positive? And it's very much what we do on a daily basis with MasterChef Junior. We have an issue here. The steak's overcooked. The potatoes are still raw. We've got 20 minutes to go. What is the solution? So that second bite of the cherry with food, my dream was to become French. And after graduating from college, I went to live in France and embedded myself in some of the best restaurants in the world in Paris. I literally became French. I refused to speak English unless it was a reverse charge call to my parents on a Sunday. So the French were there first. They invented haute cuisine, and they've got that amazing array of with food. So that upset in sport, you know, spurred me on to get to the very top in food. And then it was about perfection, I think, really. I think pressure's healthy. Pressure is a really healthy thing to have on a daily scale because it produces perfection if you want to get to the very top. Flipping burgers and dressing Caesar salads, I could teach you to do that in the next 5 minutes. Cooking at 3 Michelin star level is absolute, utter perfection. And it's a joy to be there.
Yes, it absolutely is. And taking that skill to television, what was the process of that like?
Oh, I don't see myself as a TV chef. It's really weird. You know, I'm a real chef, and that may sound a little bit bizarre. So I had a documentary years ago, 1998, called Boiling Point, and it was following me setting up my first independent restaurant. And it was an absolute nightmare because I didn't even watch the program before I went out. Couldn't quite believe the way that it was portrayed. And then all of a sudden you sit down at midnight after that program's gone out and the last cook has left the kitchen, you think, shit, that is me. And I was a self-confessed perfectionist. I convinced my wife to sell our house to put down the deposit for our first restaurant and gamble so much. And so it may seem very glossy and cool and great now with all these shows, but I had to start somewhere where, for the last 15 years, before any TV came along, I really mastered my craft. And if TV wasn't there tomorrow, I'd still be running one of the best and most prolific restaurants anywhere in the world. So, I'm the real deal when it comes to cooking, in a way that I didn't craft my career around television. Kitchen Nightmares was the first real insight when the members of the public got to see me being let off the lead at the beginning of a documentary turning these restaurants around. But, I was brutally honest, and I got criticized for being that honest. I've never had any problems with that. But, when these restaurants are successful and they go on to great things, you don't get praise. When they fail, you still get the blame. So I'm fucked either way. I can't win. Closure or success, I still get the blame. And then you think of what's $1.4 million an episode of a budget, a huge culinary team, an art team, great producers, and the due diligence, the surveys are done before we get into these restaurants. The wealth of knowledge that goes in behind them. We give them the prescription to make these things work. They get excited when the program goes out, they get cash rich, and they forget the fundamentals of how to run a business. And then you get blamed because they close down. It's Gordon Ramsay's fault. So I've learned to live with that shit. It actually makes me laugh that they still blame me today. That's the biggest problem in my industry, is that anybody can open a restaurant. And it's not like a doctor's surgery, studying medicine, or going to bar school to become a lawyer. You and I could be at a dinner party tonight, and the person and the lady sat opposite you could turn around and say, this food's incredible. Bill, Zach, go and open a restaurant. This food's amazing. Well, let me tell you, the difference cooking once a fortnight at home for 20 guests in comparison to cooking in a restaurant 6 nights a week and making money on all those ingredients coming through and paying for your staff. It's hard. You can understand why 72% of restaurants close within the first 18 months of business.
As someone who loves to cook for myself and my friends, I would never want to cook for multiple people a night.
Promise me now you're not going to open a restaurant.
I promise you I won't. I don't want you coming to visit my restaurant to tell me how I have to change it around. In the years that you've been doing this, how have you changed and grown as a host?
Yeah, that's a good question. So I don't really see myself as a host. The objective for me is to put these things right. So I'm a father of 4, and I've got 4 amazing kids, and we're lucky. They've grown up with the respect of food and have the most amazing manners, and they have a work ethic. I think 3 weeks ago I got criticized for not sticking my children in first class. And I pointed out to them at Heathrow Airport, look, we don't get there any earlier. You're going to meet everybody else on the carousel picking up the bags. And then I want you to think what you could do with £15,000 when you get to LA. I said, £15,000, Dad? Is that what it costs for a first class flight? And I said, yeah. And that's why you're not sitting in the front. You're sitting in the back. And then I'd rather save that money and give it to you in 10 years' time for a deposit for an apartment. So it's fascinating when you try to keep them real. And if I stuck them in first class and someone put a picture on Instagram, I'd still get shit for it, for spoiling them. So you can't win either way. From a host point of view, what has made this journey so enjoyable is that I'm brutally honest. It's not about hamming it up and acting fake. It is being real in that moment, across that situation, and more importantly, telling the truth. That is so important.
And how have the shows, particularly MasterChef Junior, how have they grown and changed over the years?
I think, one big thing I wanted to install when we started Junior was I never wanted those kids leaving with insecurities that they haven't been successful. getting that far was a massive achievement. And that my decision was to leave 2 going home at a time. So it made them feel like they're leaving with friends, and they have the hug and the kiss, and they congratulate each other. But the respect had to be, phenomenal. So we get more competitive. The mystery box challenges get more creative. I want to put my apron on every other program and challenge them in amongst whilst they're cooking. And I like to step down off that platform, stop presenting, and become more hands-on. Almost like a soccer player. I put my boots on, got my kit on. I still want to go out there and cook with them. So that's changed dramatically. And then I think more importantly, we're dropping them into the real life situation. We do a pop-up MasterChef restaurant. We do amazing challenges, whether it's for servicemen, military. They need to understand that these challenges are set up for them to give back a little bit, because they're very fortunate to be in that situation. So keeping it that raw and that real is really important.
Well, Gordon, congratulations again, and good luck at the Emmys. Thank you so much. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Good to see you. One more thing before we go.
Yes, of course.
Put your right hand up and promise me one more time that you're not going to open a restaurant.
I promise I will not open a restaurant.
I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear
That I, Zach,
will
not open a restaurant.
Will not open a restaurant.
And call Gordon Ramsay when it goes tits up.
And call Gordon Ramsay when it goes tits up.
Thank you so much, sir.
You're welcome very much.
Take care.
You too. Have a good one.